This is original, but not in the way you probably think it is. I steal from every movie ever made. I love it. If my work has anything, it's that I'm taking this from this and that from that and mixing them together. Great artists steal. They don't do homages. That quote from Quentin Tarantino might have more to do with this than any other animated show ever made. Great artists steal, and it turns out, so do great samurai.
Finally! Now maybe I can get back to work.
When Genndy Tartakovsky finished work on Dexter's Lab, Cartoon Network liked his work so much, they essentially gave him a blank check to pursue whatever was next. The story is legend now, but he walked into a pitch meeting with the network and said, "Remember David Carradine from Kung Fu? Wasn't that cool?" And that was it. The network ordered 26 episodes of a show with that pitch before a pilot was even filmed. But that sentence set the tone for what Genndy wanted Jack to be.
This is Sparta!
Recognize this? Now take a look at this. 300 is based on a graphic novel of the same name by Frank Miller that came out 3 years before Samurai Jack. Jack takes from Miller's work, 300 and Ronin, openly. This episode of Jack is a direct reference to 300, actually. Samurai Jack used abstract shapes, silhouettes to emphasize and keep the impact on its action. It treats color as indicators of that violence. This is 300 and Ronin's exact visual philosophy. Samurai Jack doesn't look for realism in its action, it's design first in its combat. This is why its action feels so rhythmic. Its visuals force you to focus your attention on motion as opposed to flair, which of course only works when the action is as well choreographed and designed as it is here. Oh, and here and here. But where does this abstract minimal aesthetic come from?
This suggests a certain projection of space that could be forward or backwards or these two parallel lines,
This is the work of L. Lissitzky. It's an art style known as Constructivism. It's about clarity, motion, and function. Geometry over realism. This work here is about bold shapes exerting force over passive shapes. And these are nearly the opposite. Japanese woodblock prints. Despite their appearance, they are not about creating geography. They're about creating emotion. Samurai Jack takes from both of these ideas, using them literally, combining the sharp, sometimes abstract constructivism and placing it against the emotional woodblock-inspired design, using backgrounds hand-painted for the show, by the way. These visual inspirations are part of what makes Jack feel so brutal. Its focus on shapes creating violence against emotion is why something hand-drawn can feel so beautiful and poetic in its violence and action. Characters are pushed to the edge of frames, letterboxed, there's extreme negative space, we anticipate action in track motion. Just like here. So why was it pitched using something like this? This is what the Samurai Jack pitch was based on, but it's how it mixes what this is with everything else that's so unique. Samurai Jack's episode structure looks like this. Jack stumbles across a village or a robot or a tribe, he restores balance and walks off into the horizon. That is the exact template of David Carradine's 1970 series, Kung Fu, as well as many westerns, by the way. But it's more than that. Samurai Jack feels so cool because he lets actions define his morality, his code, not words. There's little explanation for why he's helping. This is Carradine's Kung Fu to a T.
You think I cannot see?
But more uniquely, Kung Fu famously used flashbacks, not as exposition really, but more as philosophy and lessons. This is something Jack takes as well to give Jack's actions context, just like Kung Fu. And somehow, Jack blends those ideas with this. This might be the single biggest world that Jack borrows from. Samurai Jack is about the lone figure versus the world. Jack is constantly shown walking enormous empty plains, alone on cliffs, a silhouette being swallowed by the universe. Painted as visually insignificant, so he's seen as morally enormous. That's legendary Japanese director Akira Kurosawa's philosophy pinned down in his samurai films. As seen here. If you're not familiar, go watch any of Kurosawa's work, you probably won't regret it. And both Kurosawa and Jack use wind as tension, rain as chaos or inevitability, stillness as dread, weather as the landscape for emotion. But most importantly, violence is not chaos to Kurosawa, something I've discussed before. It's precision, long build-ups to fights decided before they start. The fight is the pause before. The fight is in this moment. The violence is simply the conclusion of the fight. Short, explosive, fast. The show's Kurosawan influence is why Jack's violence doesn't become tired, why it doesn't feel gratuitous. It isn't the tension as much as it's the release. But it's not here where Samurai Jack strayed hard from other animated series. It's here. Some episodes of Jack go 5+ minutes with no dialogue. That was mostly unheard of in animation prior. Much like silent films, it uses its design to articulate itself instead. Its stakes in each moment are clear, visually alone. You can watch most episodes muted as a result. Try it. That's special. And episodes like this essentially have little to no sound as it is. And in turn, its solutions are also shown. They don't have to be explained. Like silent film. Unlike most animation, it uses silent film techniques instead of dialogue. Subtle eye shifts, tiny head tilts, breath control as communication to the audience. This visual technique forces you to read situations alongside the characters. It puts you in the scenes. It gives you space to think about what's happening, time to process. That creates tension other animated shows just don't have. And then, finally, there's this.
In the bygone era of feudal Japan, Ogami Ito, the shogun's executioner.
This might be the biggest direct link to Samurai Jack of them all. This is Lone Wolf and Cub, an incredible Japanese manga that began its run in 1970, about a lone figure essentially becoming a caretaker. Wolf and Cub is Samurai Jack, but it's visual language that Jack borrows from more than anything else. As mentioned earlier, Jack and Aku are often seen as silhouettes. This is so we perceive their identity, what they symbolize, over their details. In graphic design, there's a saying that if the silhouette works, the character works. That's Lone Wolf and Cub's design philosophy. And 30+ years later, it would become a part of Samurai Jack's. Wolf and Cub isolates characters in frame, not to show off the landscape, but to show isolation. So too does Jack. But most importantly, its chapters often end like this. Its protagonist, Ogami Ito, back turned, walking into the distance. This is, of course, a hallmark of Samurai Jack as well. A simple representation of resolution as being temporary and the journey being a war as opposed to a battle. Jack doesn't seem to reference Lone Wolf and Cub. It essentially animates its storytelling rules. Samurai Jack was an exceptional piece of television, and it elevated itself beyond its contemporaries, not by hunting for originality, but by understanding what's great about the great things that came before it, and then leveraging them. Art is hard, and art made in a vacuum is even harder to create. If you watch Samurai Jack now, it feels like it hasn't aged. It's timeless because it's built on top of the foundation of the timeless things that inspired it, not made in spite of them. As an artist, it's easy to say, it's already been done, let's do something else. It's a lot harder to say, it's already been done perfectly, so how do we do it better? Turns out, the answer is just like this. I'm Dewey. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, press the like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And this has been